Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gin College Podcast. I'm your host, John J. II, here with Cody Almasy, the Dream Team. Cody, how are we doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. Repping the maize and blue tonight, switching it up from repping my Eastern Michigan Eagles because later, but got a huge Big Ten matchup going down in Ann Arbor on Saturday at noon. So we'll talk about that later, but we're just so happy to be here this week and discuss some football, man. Things are heating up.
Yes, they are, man. Ooh, babe. Being excited, I'm sure, is an understatement. Is that true?
Yeah, man. Yep. I'm chomping at the bit over here.
Good deal. Well, hey, everybody listening in for the GCP tonight, we got a great slate of games to talk about. We got some recapping to do. We got some looking into the future to do. So we're really excited to do it. Thank you so much for joining us either on the video, on the live stream, or on the podcast network itself. So let's dive right into it. Let's talk about Tennessee, LSU, obviously a blowout. Tennessee winning that game 40-13. Big surprise to some people. For other people, it wasn't as much of a surprise. If you listened to last week's episode, I took the Volunteers. I was feeling really good about the Volunteers, and Hendon Hooker, you just can't really doubt the guy. So, Cody, tell me about this game. Why was this such a, I mean, the spread was 2.5. The spread was 2.5.
Sorry, I'm losing you a little bit there, John. But my main takeaways from this game, I know a lot of people are kicking themselves for not taking that small spread there for Tennessee to cover. That's one that we definitely were able to sniff out. And Hendon Hooker, you can't say enough about the guy. He's been going above and beyond and just really putting in work for his team and making plays with his arm and with his legs. And he can just spread that ball around and do damage. It doesn't matter who's catching the ball. And he proved it with his top wide receiver, Cedric Tillman, was out. He's getting his ankle worked on, and it didn't matter. He was able to beat a ranked team, and really the Volunteers acted as a buzzsaw for LSU and the momentum that they had gained in the last 4 weeks. And, Hendon Hook is that Batman, but he's got the Robin in 27 yards, and just the Tennessee Volunteers, man, they're looking good, and they've had seasons like this in the last 5 years or so, but they haven't had this type of swagger, and I haven't been this high in Tennessee in a long time.
Yeah, we talk about win now programs. Tennessee and the Volunteers definitely are a win now program. They might not have shown that in recent years, but with the dual threat with Jabari Smalls and Hendon Hooker, you're looking at a serious dual threat offense that you don't really see ran too accurately or too well in many other places, many other colleges in the FBS. So to see this happen, that's obviously going to be a huge threat to whoever they face down the stretch here. And it's going to be a dogfight, especially for Alabama facing Tennessee and the Volunteers this coming week at Tennessee. So we'll be talking about that one here in a little bit. But just an anomaly of a performance. If you really look at it from a objective perspective, it was. You can't really slice this up much different than the score has to say. 40-13. It was never a close game, and LSU just didn't show up. They didn't take the field. Maybe they were too hungover. I don't know what it was, but they didn't give Tennessee and the Volunteers that much of a fight. Maybe Tennessee just played that good, where they didn't allow LSU to get done what they wanted to. They shut down their systems, and it was over before it began. So
yeah, LSU had two offensive linemen out, and they got outrushed. 263 yards to 55 is what LSU was held to. And quarterback Daniels, he accounted for 38 of those yards. So those are probably under duress and on the fly. So not really planned runs. And yeah, that's a tough formula for winning right there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It says here, Hendon Hooker is third in the Heisman odds. Do you have those exact figures on hand, Cody?
I don't have the exact numbers. I know that Bryce Young is second, and then CJ Stroud is the above and beyond favorite right now. He's actually like minus 180, and then everybody else is plus 1,000 at least. So
wow.
Right now, CJ Stroud is leading that race by leaps and bounds.
He is that man. He is him. He is him, as the youth would say nowadays. So we're going to be following up with the Heisman race. Still got some time here before we have to really dive into statistics and different schemes of who could win the Heisman. But there's still some games to be played, but it's looking good for CJ Stroud right now. But Hooker's in the race. Hendon Hooker is in the race. So if Tennessee keeps winning, especially if they play well this weekend against Alabama, that's only going to improve his odds, I would assume. So we'll have to follow up with that and see where that goes. Let's move on. Let's talk about TCU and Kansas. A little bit of a dogfight, a little bit of a barn burner type situation. 38-31, TCU and the Horned Frogs win it. They were on alert, though. They were on alert. Kansas and the Jayhawks, they were looking good for a lot of that game. It just wasn't enough in the end. I liked Kansas, and if you took them to cover, you would have pushed. So tell me about this game. What are your takeaways? What were you surprised about? What do you got here?
Yeah, man. Both teams, nobody really lost because Jason Bean, he had to step in as a replacement role. Another quarterback is going to do that in one of our recaps, and we're going to give him a shout out. But Jason Bean in this one did it in a losing effort, but he came in and yeah, it was really tale of two halves. And when Jason Bean came in for the Jayhawks, that's when the scoring really happened for both teams. I don't know if he was just a breath of fresh air for that offense, but in the first half combined between these two teams, only 13 points are scored, and then there are 42 in the third quarter. So I don't know what we're doing at halftime here, but everybody needs to figure out what these coaches are saying to their kids to at least for offensive production, because just exploded. 56 points scored total in the second half. And like you said, man, barn burner, came down to the last little bit. And it was really the Max Dugan to Quentin Johnston connection that lifted the Horned Frogs over the Jayhawks. And Johnston had 206 yards on the day and really capped it with a 24 catch that he ended up in the end zone and put the Horned Frogs ahead 38-31 with a minute 36 left. So it was really that play in the 2-minute drill that made the difference there.
2-minute drills win games or they lose games. That's a proven fact. We've seen it happen both in the college level, at the college level, and in the NFL. And that was definitely the case in this game. And you really, it comes down to how well can you execute in the dire moments. And if you can execute, you can rise to the occasion, you get the job done. That was the tale for a lot of these games this weekend, and this past weekend, that is. And it's who's going to come out, who's going to perform, who's going to perform in those clutch moments. And TCU pulled it out in the shootout with the Jayhawks. Crazy game. That was a good game to watch too. Hopefully you had the pleasure to watch that game. It was worth the watch, let me tell you. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Utah and the Utes against UCLA and the Bruins. 42-32, UCLA wins it at home. Another big performance for DTR. What do we have to say about DTR and the Bruins and what's happening with this Utah team? Because I had a lot of faith in this Utah team last year, and they're coming in playing at a UCLA, arena at a stadium, coming into their place -3. And I haven't really been too impressed with Utah that much this year. I haven't really seen what I've been expecting to see out of Utah, and I only saw more of that in this game. What do you have to say about this one, Codes?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Man, Utah's kind of falling short of our expectations, not getting it done. They are dealing with some tough teams, but DTR, we can't say enough about him. He's going above and beyond and really just having the best year of his career. And he's trying to elongate his football playing career, and to maybe the pros. And it's fun to watch. He looks like he's in control of that offense. And he's another quarterback who spread it out this week. 8 different receivers. I don't think anybody had more than 5 or 6 receptions, and everybody was having fun, man, just scoring. Jake Bobo caught 2. Logan Loya, he took 1, just caught 1, but it made worth his while. 70 yards to the crib. And Zach Charbonnet, he's another Robin that really is just essential to his team's success. Hand the ball off to him 22 times for 198 yards, and he hits pay dirt once. And this is a game. It's only a 10-point win, but if you watch this game, I watched this game from start to finish, and UCLA, man, they had it the whole time, and Utah didn't. They were in control. And if you're just going to look at the box score and the scoring breakdown, you might not get the feel for the kind of swag that this UCLA team is playing with this year. And yeah, they got a high ceiling. That's all I can say about them.
Yeah, they got a high ceiling. They're halfway up the mountain, and they're aiming at the top, at the summit, and they're heading that way. They're doing everything they have to do to get it done. And the way DTR is playing, the way UCLA is beating these great teams, it almost earned DTR the double shot of praise. But let me just compare. Let me talk about the double shot real quick. So winning a double shot is like winning the Heisman twice. It just doesn't happen unless you're Archie Griffin from Ohio State, the running back back in the day. He won it twice. He's the only one to ever do it. Bryce Young looks like he's in the running to possibly do it again, but unless C.J. Stroud, incurs a crazy injury or something crazy happens, a crazy scandal, a Reggie Bush situation, then we're probably not going to see that. He's playing well. He's playing well. We got to kind of, we got to use those shots wisely, though, and we're going to get into that here momentarily. But like you said, they're playing with a different kind of swag. They're doing what they have to do to get the job done on the weekends, and they're impressing me, man. They're impressing me. I'll be honest. I undermined UCLA going into this year. I didn't think they had what it took to really be a top-tier team. And I think that ranking right there at 18, I think that could be bumped up a little bit, and we can see that move north into a lower ranking as we move forward throughout the rest of the season. So gonna be looking at this UCLA team, man. They're the real deal, and they're proving it to me every single week. So we'll be following these guys very closely. Let's move on. Let's talk about Washington and Arizona State and the Sun Devils. Washington 38, ASU 45. I mean, Michael Penix Jr., he's not playing terrible football, but he's not playing great football. And it's just not enough. There's a threshold that he crested, that he went above. Especially I saw it the most in that Michigan State game. But then he kind of retracted back to the mean a little bit against UCLA and now against Arizona State. I wasn't too impressed with Michael Penix Jr. And I'll be honest, I bet pretty heavily on Washington, the Huskies this past weekend, and I wasn't impressed because I didn't win. I had them in a parlay. They were minus 470 in the parlay. Should have been the only leg that should have been an automatic lock to hit, and that was just a battle from a bettor's perspective that entire game. You look at the spread, minus 13.5. They're getting blown out by a tutty. So, I mean, they were trying to get back to even, back to square, and even try to get up, but they just could never do it, man. What happened here?
Yeah, so a lot of these NIL deals going on. Quarterbacks are buying their linemen gifts or whatnot. Before Cade McNamara lost his starting job, he bought his offensive linemen some ping drivers, some golf clubs. You know, maybe Michael Penix needs to buy his defensive secondary something to help him out because they're leaving him out to dry. My man is throwing touchdowns and putting up numbers, but his defense is just Swiss cheese, man, allowing more points to be scored. And, you know, defense wins championships and wins games every Saturday. And you need your defense to step up and to keep teams out of the end zone, especially coming into a 1-4 Sun Devils team who fired their coach in the end zone after they lost to a MAC team, my Eastern Michigan Eagles. Okay, so you're 13-point favorites. You got to have some kind of dignity. And yeah, how the turntables, as Michael Scott would say. What is Washington? They had all the prospect in the world, and they're just trending down now. And if they lose another one, they might be up for a shot of sorrow. They're going to do some drinking out there in Seattle.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be pouring up. They're gonna be, you know, hopefully the glasses are cold. They leave the fifth in the freezer, get a little chilly, and it's probably already cooking. Let me tell you, it's already cooking. They're ready to start pouring up out there in Seattle, and that's just the reality of the situation. Okay, so in that same breath, let's give the shot of praise to Trenton Bourguet for all the accolades that he had and all the obstacles that he had overcome, both on and off the field, to get to this position, going 15 for 21, 182 passing yards, 3 tutties, and a 93.9 QBR. I don't think we've ever seen that before. Cody, tell me about this Trenton Bourguet guy. Is he the real deal, or is he just rising to the occasion and pulling a Cooper Rush on us?
That's to be seen. You know, we're going to see in the coming weeks, as I think Maury Jones will remain on the sideline. But yeah, Trenton Bourguet, man, have a day and have a shot of gin. You did great out there. And yeah, they talked about this man's story a little bit. He was a 5th string walk-on a couple of years ago. And this spring, you know, he had Amori Jones coming over from Florida. Everybody's high on him. He just knew that he wasn't going to be able to be the starter, but he stayed ready the entire year. And when he got called upon on Saturday, he really stepped up and he orchestrated that offense with mastery. It was just a beautiful thing to behold. Not eye-popping yardage or anything in the box score, but just the way he managed this game and came in there with little experience and got the job done. And the way to see his teammates and coaching staff and fans rally around him, it was awesome to see.
Yeah, you know, just looking at Arizona State and how they conducted themselves throughout that entire game, watching the dynamic, watching how they just cruised down the field past Washington's defense, it was crazy to see that. You know, I'd be looking at my phone. I was busy. I was doing something else. I wasn't glued to the game the entire time, but the second half, I was watching the every single play, every minute, because I got money on the line, right? I'm watching and I'm watching my phone even, and I'll look down. The score is one thing. I'll look down again. The score is another thing. And they were going back and forth. I don't know if the defenses just didn't show up. They might have been hungover, but they weren't playing defense that much in that game. And it was going both ways. But I think we can say Washington was playing less defense than Arizona State was. But I don't know. That was a different game to watch. It wasn't a normal game that I'm used to watching. Watching college football. So you can pick it apart. You can do whatever you want as far as why they got to that result, why they got to that score at the end. But huge win for Arizona State, and huge win for Sean Aguano, the interim head coach at ASU. So huge accolades to the Sun Devils. Praise all around. Give them a shot of gin, and I'll cheers them. How do you feel? What do you say they do to celebrate that shot of gin?
Yeah, man. I mean, you take a shot, Jen, you celebrate it. You don't get too high. You try to put together another performance like that next week. Rally behind your shot taker in Trenton Bourget.
Amen to that. Let's move on to this game, which I watched every single play of this game. Texas A&M against Alabama. A&M took it on the nose, 20-24. The Crimson Tide gets away with one here. Tell me about this game. I got some choice words to say that I'm going to save till after you give me your piece. But what are your takeaways here?
Yeah, man. They need Bryce Young. They need their star player. They need their star quarterback. I think that Jaden Milroe is obviously not a finished product. He's a 5-star recruit at Alabama. We're going to be watching him in the future. But right now, he's not up to snuff, and he got thrown to the wolves in a Texas A&M team that really had nothing to lose besides try to beat Alabama for the second consecutive year like they did last year. And they got so close, man. Came to the 2-yard line, just ran out of time, threw an incomplete pass at the 2. Tough, but Will Anderson Jr., I really think he needs to be talked about more. He's getting a little bit of love towards the end of last year for Heisman talks even. I think he finished just outside linebacker there. He had 8 QB hurries. That is just insane to think about. He had 9 total in his amazing season last year, and he had 8 against the Aggies. So Will Anderson Jr. and company was coming for blood, and even though it still came down to just a turnaround to without Anderson Jr., it would have looked a lot worse, and I think the Aggies take a win.
Yeah, me too, man. And just looking at that game, how it finished, and the trash talk in between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban before the game, that saying, oh yeah, we did this to get these players and these recruits. Yeah, these guys are buying their recruits. The allegations were going back and forth. The drama was high. The tensions were high. You could cut it with a knife, and it was awesome to see that be played on the field after they hyped it up so much in the pregame intro videos and whatnot. So to see that, and then to see, this performance on the field, only to end in heartbreak for the Aggies on the 2-yard line with the worst play I've ever seen be called. You have all these incidental timeouts and stoppages of play where you have time. If I'm Jimbo Fisher, if I'm the OC, then I'm huddling with my guys. We have the ball. We're anticipating that we're going to get all the way down the field. We're going to have a chance at the end zone. So what are we doing? We should be game planning a goal line situation, a red zone situation. If we're in the red zone, what play are we running? What plays are our go-tos? And I feel like there was some scrambling there towards the end, and I wasn't impressed with that. It showed me lack of experience. It showed me lack of preparedness, and that was unforeseen for me. Let me ask you this, Cody. If you have the opportunity to win the game against the Crimson Tide, and I love to see the Crimson Tide lose. Just throw that little sprinkle in there. What play are you running from the 2-yard line? 3 seconds left. Chances are it's the last play of the game. A field goal doesn't help you. What play are you running?
Man, this is just about, it's getting to be a lesson as old as time that Pete Carroll should have learned. I hope that Matt LaFleur, now the Green Bay Packers, after taking that loss on Sunday in London against the Giants, 2 yards to pick up a first down, and I hand it off to the ball carrier, man. You're a big ball carrier, biggest guy you got. I don't care if he's your every down back. Hand it to somebody with some weight on him. Have your hog mileys on the line. Push a little bit. If it's got to be a quarterback sneak, just get that 2 yards, especially when your quarterback in Haynes King. Nothing against the young man, but like you said, he's not the leader of the offense. They don't really have anybody to go to while you're going to put the ball in his hands to hit a receiver. 2 yards out is all you got to go. Where would you go? I'm getting fired up.
So wait, let me just get this straight. You're taking it up the middle with the biggest fullback you got.
Yeah, that's option A. Yeah.
Okay.
It's option A.
Oh, so you got more options in the tuck. That's not the only thing you got.
Well, then option 1B would be, QB sneak it.
Okay, so either way,
2 yards, push the line,
push the line,
just right there. Yep.
You're not slinging the ball, the pigskin through the air at all.
Not unless I have Bryce Young, and then even then, I'm like, man, you can't get 2 yards with your legs real quick, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. I like that. So what I'm going to be doing, I'll give you 2 plays as well. I'm either running a toss to one of the sides. I'm going to be playing in between the pylons, but I'm not going to go up the middle. I'm not going to go, within the hash marks. I guess we're going hash marks extended. I'm not going to stay within that. I'm going to use the field and try to get outside. If I'm doing a run play, I'm going to do either, some kind of toss, some kind of, probably don't have time for an end around or a reverse. I'm going to run a toss if I'm doing a run play. Maybe a little misdirection, toss, action, something like that. We'll figure it out. Either that or I'm doing anti-slants. So I'm slanting to the outside. So corner slants. I'm going to be running corner slants all day long, and I'm going to have receivers in the flats. So I have options in the backfield. And that's a 2-yard situation. I can draw it up for you. I might even make a video on what I would do in a 2-yard line situation. But whatever they run there, it's a corner route right to the edge, right there to the pylon, the front pylon. That's not the right play to run. Okay, I'm not even a football expert in that regard as far as play structure and things of that nature. But I know that's not the play to run. And it was a scramble play that probably wasn't even a route that they tried to run. Maybe they did, but it was just the execution was poor at best in that situation, given the importance of that moment. So that's my 2 cents. That's all I got to say about that. We don't have to beat it like a dead horse, but that's all I got. And I plan on making a video based on a red zone situation. What plays to run? What options do you have? They should be in the back of your mind. They should be in that little sleeve on every quarterback's wrist, and they should be ready. They should have it in pink or something that they can see, neon green. This is what we're running in a 2-yard line situation. 3 seconds left, chance to beat Alabama, the Crimson Tide. That's all I'm
saying is Tom Brady would have one less ring if Marshawn Lynch would have got it up the middle. And
that's right.
Russ Dange Wilson would have thrown an interception, baby.
I bet that keeps Russ up at night to this day. He's staying up at night thinking about that moment.
Oh, 100%.
Oh boy, couldn't imagine.
He's still, yeah.
He's not getting a lot of sleep nowadays either. So that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. Let's talk about Penn State and the Nittany Lions as they face off against your Wolverines this weekend. Michigan -7. How we feeling about that spread? Both teams are undefeated. Top 10. You got Penn State at 10. Michigan at 5. Is this an appropriate spread, or how are we feeling about this?
Yeah, I definitely think should be closer to 3 or 4 points. Got to give Michigan the edge just with how they've played. And Penn State has had a stinker or two. They only beat Northwestern 17-7. So that's not going to really impress anybody. So I feel like that, and along with the fact that Michigan is only accompanied by Alabama in having on scoring offense and defense in the top 10 rankings of the FBS. So, even though Michigan hasn't had any great tests, they put together some good matchups and some performances to be proud about. But hey, man, I don't feel safe, shaking in my boots. It's just going to be an old-fashioned classic matchup between these two storied rivals. And I mean, last year in Happy Valley, it took a pass late in the fourth quarter from Cade McNamara to Eric All to put him up 21-17, and they won by 4 points. And one of those games where it was a skin of their teeth kind of game, and I can only imagine it's going to be like that again. I hope JJ McCarthy plays a clean game like he has been, and like Corum keeps it up. It's going to be a huge game. It's going to be whichever defense, could come up with that game-changing performance, a forced fumble in the opponent's territory or a pick six, something like that. An opportune play could be the deterrent factor in this game.
Yeah, I call it to be tight. I think, like you just said right there, I think turnovers and things of that nature are going to be the deciding factor of the game. Who incurs the least amount of turnovers on their side when they're on offense, and who gets the most turnovers for touchdowns if you're on defense. It's going to come down to that. McCarthy versus Clifford, great quarterbacks, both top of their game, playing great games and playing great football, really. And James Franklin, I know he's coming into this game. He's coming into the big house thinking, hey, we're going to try to beat Harbaugh. We really want to beat Harbaugh. We want to keep this undefeated streak going. We want to move up in the rankings and maybe even have a chance at the CFP. And it's not out of their reach yet. And they definitely want to win the Big Ten as well. They have high hopes this year, and they're on the right track to do it. This is a great contest. This is going to be a hell of a game for Michigan if they can pull this one off. And even if they can cover, that's going to be even better. I think they're going to have a hell of a time doing it. Just given the magnitude of this game as a whole, I think it's going to be tough. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna come down to turnovers. We're gonna be talking about this game next week. Mark my words. It's gonna come down to who had the most turnovers, who benefited from the most turnovers, and chances are whoever winds up on the right side of that conversation probably is gonna win the game. So don't hold me to it. Don't hold the gun to my head.
Whoever comes out of this game unscathed, I think really poses the best threat in the Big Ten to dethrone CJ Stroud and the Buckeyes. I know that they are just favored by all the big broadcasting and media companies to win the Big Ten. So winning this game and looking good doing it is a good first step in being able to beat the Buckeyes.
Definitely. Both of these defenses, too, looking at points allowed per game, 14.8 for Penn State, 11.3 for Michigan and the Wolverines. Nothing to joke about, nothing to get too reckless with as far as these defenses. They mean business, and they do it well. So that even poses,
fifth sacks with 22. So
fifth and sacks, 22. Okay. Well, that's only going to make it's going to make the chance of turnovers even higher than I anticipated then. And given the magnitude of the game and everything like that, we're going to see some turnovers in this game. I can count on it. So who's going to do it? Who's going to get the job done? Who's going to capitalize on those turnovers and turn them into touchdowns? We'll have to see. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Alabama and Tennessee. This is the game that we talked about. We previewed a little bit earlier in the podcast. Alabama -7 playing at Tennessee. You got number 3 Alabama playing against number 6 Tennessee and the Volunteers. They smoked LSU last week. Barn burner with Alabama and Texas A&M. Who do we got here? How can you pick these two teams apart? Let's hear it.
Man, this was almost – I just love Tennessee, especially – I mean, first thing we have to talk about is does Bryce Young play or not in this game? That's going to be a huge factor. I think Paul Feinbaum is on record saying that if Bryce Young doesn't play, Tennessee will win this game. I have an inkling that Bryce Young is going to play, but Nick Saban is going to hold that tight to the chest until the last possible moment. We know that. But, yeah, this is Tennessee's best chance in a long time and probably for a while to get a win against Alabama. Haven't done it in 15 games. And, yeah, Hendon Hooker, he's the guy to do it, and you got to take a page out of Texas A&M's book, try to follow that recipe, what Texas was able to do, the Longhorns that is, earlier in the season, and make it a competitive game. Stick around, keep yourself in it, because with people like Hendon Hooker and Jabari Smalls, all you got to do is stick around, keep it competitive, and put yourself in position to make it a game in the waning moments. So I can't wait for this one. It's gonna be awesome, man. I think Will Anderson is gonna be a huge factor in this game as well. Nick Saban talked about last week, he created this new process where it allows Will Anderson to run free a lot more, and that's why he was able to get to the quarterback 8 times. So if Will Anderson is in Hendon Hooker's face, it's going to be a different story. And I think he's excited to play in Neyland Stadium. It's going to be crazy, 110 strong. It's similar to the atmosphere in the Big House here in Ann Arbor. Those Tennessee fans are going to be going wild. But Will Anderson in his freshman year actually didn't get to experience it because of COVID. And he wants that noise. He wants that feeling in the stadium. He's embracing it, and I think that his cohorts on the defense are going to as well. So that's why I could not pick Tennessee to cover the points. I cannot, in good conscience, bet against the Crimson Tide.
Really? So you can't take Tennessee +7 at home?
I don't know.
Oh man, I'm gonna say it, bro. I'm gonna say it loud. I'm gonna scream it from the rooftops. Tennessee +7. Take them with the points. I love it. You look at what Texas A&M did against these guys last weekend with the personnel they have compared to the personnel that they have on Tennessee and the Volunteers team. This team is special. Let me tell you, Nick Saban. The statistic here, we're gonna read it for some little bit of comedic value. Nick Saban is 15-0 against the Vols as a head coach at Alabama, but Saban has never faced a Tennessee team like this. We've never seen a team like this that has faced Alabama in recent history. So to see this, to see the Hendon Hooker, Jabari Smalls combo, the dual threat on offense, the air game and the ground game, they're going to be activated. So I feel really good about the Vols, man. And I might go on a limb saying this. This could be Tennessee money line real easy. If the tide gets turned and they turn it up, they get hot, they might be unstoppable.
Yeah, money line's looking good too, +228 right now. And
it is.
I'm right there with you, man. I hope that this game is everything it lives up to be, and that Tennessee can knock Alabama down a peg, man. It'd be awesome. I hope that Hendon Hooker and the Volunteers summon their LSU Joe Burrow energy, because that's what this kind of matchup is reminding me of right now.
Yeah, me too. Let's move on. We'll give that one a rest. Oklahoma State against TCU and the Horned Frogs. Both teams 5-0. Oklahoma State +4. This is a game where it's just a matchup where you really want to pick a side, and you have to pick a side. What side are you going to pick? You can't pick these two teams apart, even looking at stat sheets. Tell me about these two teams. Why can't we pick these two teams apart?
Yeah, they are like nearly identical on paper, like you're saying. And they're just fighting for Big 12 supremacy here, and should be an absolute barn burner, just like a lot of Big 12 matchups we've seen this year. But yeah, they look really, really similar coming into this one. TCU just having their way a little bit more on the ground, outrushing them by 80 so yards per game. And TCU, they're this year. They won their last 6 of 7. Before they started that little run, though, this team that they're matching up with this weekend hung 63 points on them when they faced last year, and they were only held to 17. The Cowboys absolutely had a field day with the TCU Horned Frogs, and the Frogs right now, they don't even want to talk about that. That it's a debacle. Not the same team. That mantra is out of there. It's the old regimen. So they're ready to right the ship, bring in a new sense of rivalry, and make this competitive after last year's match just really wasn't. And just to really emphasize how lopsided it was, the Cowboys rushed for 447 yards, 447 rushing yards, everybody. That's insane, just to be frank. And so if they can maybe cut that in half, if TCU can cut that in half this year, then they're going to have a shot to get out of there and maybe even cover that +4. I mean, the -4, but, Spencer Sanders and the Cowboys aren't going to make it easy.
No, they're not. They have the air game and they have the run game as well, as we've seen. Similar to the air/run threat that Hendon Hooker and Jabari Smalls have with Tennessee. Similar, not the same. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. But I love Oklahoma State +4. I see that spread and my mouth starts to water. I start sweating, and it makes me feel good about throwing it in a parlay. But TCU and these Horned Frogs, they're nothing to joke about. So another game where it can go either way. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna take the field and take the cake? We're going to see some upsets this week. Okay, there's no doubt about it. And some of these teams that you can't pick apart, it's an upset or it's a big win no matter how you look at it. And it's really not even an upset if these teams are so similar, especially as similar as this Oklahoma State and this TCU team is on paper, as much as they are. So we'll have to see what happens. This is going to be another game to watch. Follow this one very closely. 3:30 p.m. on ABC. I'm going to be watching this one very closely as well. So we'll have to follow it. Couple more games here. Last one, we got to give out the shot of sorrow for Oklahoma Sooners head coach Brent Venables. Tell me about this coach. Why does he get the shot of sorrow? Oklahoma and the Sooners, they're a win now program. Why are we getting him boozed up?
Oh, he's definitely now grim, and those boomer Sooner fans are boozing up, and his seat might be getting a little hot. They were 3-0 and just looked amazing. A new regimen. They lost Lincoln Riley, but they didn't seem to be skipping a beat. And you face some tough opponents. You drop 3 in a row, and we were calling out the Spartans last week for their 3-game performance and how many yards they let up. Well, the Oklahoma Sooners won up the Spartans. They're letting up 587 yards per game. That's 87 more than the Spartans were through their 3-game stretch. And
that's right.
It's just, Brent Venables, he's dreaming about being under Dabo's wing again. He wished he was over there in South Carolina and running the defense, not the whole show, not all this pressure on him, because things are getting hot fast over there for Mr. Brett.
Yeah, he's getting humbled real quick. He's seeing how the real world is as the man. So it's not looking good, man. I mean, that spot over there at Oklahoma, their win now program and the higher ups, the athletic directors, they know it. So he's in the hot seat for sure. He's gonna have to start winning some games here, picking it back up, pick up the slack, or else he's gonna be out of there. And he might be even doing it on purpose just so he can go back to Clemson, play and coach under Dabo. We don't know. We'll have to see. Only time will tell. So he gets a shot. On Jins.
Lost you there for a second, John. Says you are offline. But
we lost you again. We just had a solar flare just hit my house.
Solar flare.
Yeah.
All
the
right,
solar flare hit my house. Here we go. Let's do the rapid fire and let's get this done before another one hits it. Kansas, Oklahoma. The spread is OU -9. Who do you got here?
And I think this is one of our locks of the weekend. I think curated by yourself. I think we're going with the Jayhawks +9 in this one. They smell blood in the water, boomer blood, and yeah, we like him to at least cover that.
Yes, we would take KU +9. I like that a lot. NC State and Syracuse. Syracuse -3.5 at their house. What do you got here?
This is a tough one. The Syracuse Orange are playing hot, but the Syracuse Orange, who have they played really? The test, I think, was Purdue, and Purdue has kind of shown that they're just mid-tier this year. That's about the most we can expect from the Spoilmakers. Maybe they have a upset still waiting in the cards, but that is to be seen. I think the Wolfpack, I like the Wolfpack money line, man. I think that they're a little mad getting embarrassed in Clemson, so they're going to be looking to make a statement.
Wolfpack money line. I'll take Wolfpack with the points. Let's move on. Mississippi State against Kentucky. Mississippi State -4 is the spread. How are we feeling about this game? Tough loss for Kentucky last week.
Yeah, Kentucky's kind of scrambling right now. Lost to South Carolina. I don't think anybody really expected that, especially their projections just a couple weeks ago. They're another team, that things keep going bad. they might be getting a shot of gin. And Mississippi State is on the other side of that. They are trending upwards, kind of under the radar. I really like Mississippi State, but I'm just going to go money line. I think Kentucky, they're desperate, so they're going to claw and keep it close.
Yep. I like that too. I just don't think Kentucky's got it figured out. I like Mississippi State money line. Take it safely. UK and Kentucky and the Wildcats at home is going to be a tough game to win. So maybe you stay away from this game, but I like Mississippi State money line. Take that money line. Last game on the docket here on the rapid fire session. USC and the Trojans against Utah and the Utes at Utah. Utah minus 3.5. This is a tough game to pick. Who do you got?
I think I'm going to take the Trojans plus 3.5. I love that half point. We talk about that a lot, that half point around the 3 mark. And they haven't lost yet. They have shown some signs of inconsistency, but so is Utah, and they're kind of healing from a loss against UCLA. I think that USC is going to be able to keep it within that 3.5. So plus 3.5 USC.
Oh, yeah. Lock it in. USC plus 3.5. I think they rise to the occasion and get the job done. We'll take them with the points. This moves into the Saturday parlay. Cody, do you want to announce this one? I'll announce my lock, and then you kind of just encompass it as a parlay. So my lock of the week, Kansas plus 9. I love it. I love the pick against Oklahoma. Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Boomers. They're going to be in shambles. They're scrambling, and they're not in good shape. They're not in good shape, coaching-wise, player-wise, wherever you look at it from. They're not in good shape. Give me Kansas plus 9. What do you got?
Yep. And I'm going to be looking at 50 burger on these 3 bets here. Probably going to put that in tonight. Get a bet slip for John to put out there in the socials. And, we're just feeling really good about this. My pick, feeling great about my Eastern Michigan Eagles, minus 2.5 against Northern Illinois, a team that's just at the bottom feeders of the MAC. So I think that Eastern's going to run away with it, but just going to be safe. We're going to take what the Caesars gave us at that 2.5, and it's going to be candy from a baby. And then, Chuck, we want him back on the show, but he's contributing. He's got it for us tonight for this parlay, and he's going with the Cowboys minus 4. And you gotta love it. Or I think it's plus 4. Wow. I think is what he has.
If it's minus 4, he's really confident in them Cowboys.
No, I think it's plus 4.
Is it plus 4? Okay.
But how can you not side with that when they won by 46 last year when they matched up? So we're loving the Cowboys to cover the plus 4, and we'll get a bet slip out there of what that comes out to odds wise and what the payout of a 50 burger will be. So feel free to tail.
Definitely feel free to tail. That's the free bet of the week, free parlay. We'll be trying to do that every podcast going forward. So be looking forward to that. And we're happy to do it here over at the GCP. So if everyone shows up and they take the field, they're ready to play football, that should hit no problem. We haven't been seeing a lot of that. And with the paper, the analysis and the stats reading and stuff like that on paper has been hard because you're seeing teams that look great on paper. They should show up, they should play well, and they don't. These teams, I'm expecting them to play well. They have shown me that they can play well. They have been playing well, and I'm expecting nothing but greatness, both in our intuition and our betting knowledge and in these teams that we've picked. So looking forward to this weekend, man. Good deal. We'll start to wrap it up here, getting close to the 50-minute mark. Cody, you got any final words for the people going into the weekend?
Just enjoy a great slate of football, 3 undefeated matchups, and after some things are decided this week, to be on the lookout for the Gym Pros playoff rankings to make a reemergence as we are starting to get a better picture of who the true contenders are and who the pretenders are. And remember, from last year, it is the people's poll. This is not biased to the big brands. So just be on the lookout for the people's poll to make a comeback.
Yeah, definitely. The people's poll is going to be alive and well. It always is over here. Be looking forward to that Gym Pros playoff rankings, our own playoff rankings, our own version of the AP, and it should be taken into account with the real AP, if you'd ask me. So stay tuned for that. And I'm going to say it again. I said it already. There's going to be upsets this weekend. Okay. Just be on the lookout for that. You're going to see it, and it's going to happen. So that's all I'm going to say on that note. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Gin Pros. Follow us on Instagram at Gin Promotions and at Gin Sports Network and at Gin College. Go to our website for all of our content, ginsportsnetwork.com. And make sure to listen to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's available everywhere. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Gin College podcast. Enjoy football this weekend and have a great night.